Your Fantastic Mind, brought to you in part by Sarah and Jim Kennedy.
Welcome to Your Fantastic Mind. I'm Jay Watson, and we begin this week at the home of one of the world's great wonders, the Taj Mahal in Agra, India. This is a country where ancient history and modern innovation live side by side. It is also home to one of the most ambitious health studies ever attempted. For 15 years, the CARS study has followed over 30,000 people to understand why chronic health risk factors such as high blood sugar, blood pressure, cholesterol, lifestyle, and genetics lead to heart disease, stroke, and type 2 diabetes. Well, now researchers are turning to the brain to uncover why these same risk factors accelerate cognitive decline, and what they're learning will have a global impact. It is unlike anywhere else in the world. Home to more than 1.4 billion people and hundreds of languages. India's richness comes from an extraordinary diversity of culture, cuisine, and community, and from the ongoing coexistence of profound differences.
One of the ways in which India is similar to the United States is you could see it as a melting pot.
A meeting place of cultures, a meeting place of genes, a meeting place of opinions, ideas.
So there is this tapestry of culture, language, genes, lifestyle, that kind of is very unique in this place.
People are very interested in maintaining their traditions, but they're also very open to evolving traditions.
But there's something else. In India, people are developing diabetes and heart disease nearly a decade earlier than in the West.
We tend to get type 2 diabetes 10 years earlier than seen in a white European population.
In terms of heart attacks, Indians have more completed heart attacks as compared to the Western populations.
Doctors are also seeing dementia appearing earlier too.
They develop dementia 10 years earlier. They are diagnosed later in their own disease.
So we know that the shared risk factors for cardiovascular disease and diabetes somehow are linked to the risk of Alzheimer's disease, and yet we don't know how.
These conditions don't arrive suddenly. They don't begin with memory loss, stroke, or heart attack. They build quietly, over years, even decades, long before symptoms appear. To understand how this happens, scientists are doing something unique. For 15 years, they've been following over 20,000 people aged 20 and older through their lives, returning year after year, watching their health change in real time. The CARS study began in 2010 by tracking diabetes, blood pressure, and cholesterol, key drivers of cardiometabolic disease. Those conditions are recognized as risk factors for Alzheimer's disease. In 2024, Emory's Goizueta Brain Health Institute joined CARS to bring the brain into the picture. But before we look ahead, we need to look back at how this landmark study began.
I got into serious diabetes research in 1992, working at the NIH for 4 years with the famous Pima Indian study, which has been going on in the United States since the early 1960s.
Dr. Venkat Narayan is a renowned diabetologist and head of the Emory Global Diabetes Research Center. Early in his career, Dr. Narayan studied the Pima Indians of Arizona, a population that had some of the highest rates of diabetes ever documented.
By age 45, 50% of the Pima Indians had diabetes, which is today called type 2 diabetes.
What researchers learned from the Pima helped change how we see diabetes around the world. That rapid changes in modern life can expose risks that were already there.
What has happened to the Pima Indians in terms of the explosion of diabetes is what the entire world is experiencing today. Today, there are over 800 million people with diabetes worldwide. India alone has over 200 million people with diabetes. In the United States, we have nearly 45 million people with diabetes.
Diabetes is an ancient disease, thousands of years old, now colliding with a modern lifestyle, one with highly processed available food and a more sedentary life. As a result,
in the United States, diabetes is a leading cause of healthcare costs.
In 2010, Dr. Narayan was one of the lead investigators in a brand new study launched in India called CARS, short for the Center for Cardiometabolic Risk Reduction in South Asia.
So now
the nationwide effort brought researchers from Emory University and leading institutions in India, such as Public Health Foundation of India, the Center for Chronic Disease Control, All India Institute of Medical Sciences, and the Madras Diabetes Research Foundation, working together to track cardiometabolic health across urban India. Cardiometabolic health describes how well the heart and blood vessels do their job and how the body manages energy, things like blood sugar, cholesterol, and blood pressure. Researchers are studying households in two major Indian cities, Delhi and Chennai. From each home, they followed one man and one woman, ordinary people, representative of the population. Every year, researchers return. They measure blood sugar, blood pressure, cholesterol. They ask about diet, physical activity, sleep, stress, and family history. There were striking findings at baseline. In the United States, about 1 in 10 adults has diabetes. In contrast, the CARS study found that nearly 4 in 10 adults in urban India had diabetes. About a third of men and women had high blood pressure, similar to rates in the U.S., but treatment rates were far lower. And 60% of participants had high cholesterol, compared with 35 to 40% of U.S. adults. Compounding those risks, 76% of participants were sedentary.
Why is this disease that is so readily associated with obesity happening in thin populations?
CARS researchers discovered that in many people, diabetes does not develop because of excess weight. Dr. Narayan says 60 to 70% of obese people never develop diabetes. Instead, in some people, diabetes develops because the body simply does not produce enough insulin. When insulin supply is already low, even small rises in blood sugar can overwhelm the system. In the United States, researchers estimate about 15% of people with diabetes do not produce enough insulin. In India, that number is as high as 50 to 80%. CARS has helped reveal what is happening, but understanding why the body fails to produce enough insulin remains an active and urgent area of research. At current trends, 2/3 of people in India will develop diabetes sometime in their lives. We begin our trip in Bengaluru in southern India, the 4th largest city in the country with a population of almost 15 million. It's a city of contrast, India's tech capital, buzzing with energy, innovation, and some of the most congested traffic in the country. Just beyond the noise and gridlock lies a different world.
We are in the gardens of Nimhans.
The leafy campus of Nimhans, the National Institute of Mental Health and Neurosciences, where quiet gardens and shaded pathways create space for reflection and for groundbreaking science at the center of the new stage of the CARS study, Precision CARS Brain.
Each patient is different, and each solution is also different, and each family is different, each context is different. So it just makes for very interesting work. In Nimhans,
Dr. Suvarna Aladi is a leading cognitive neurologist and professor of neurology at Nimhans. NIMHANS is India's leading institute for mental health and neuroscience, known for patient care, training, and groundbreaking brain research. Dr. Alati established one of the country's first memory clinics and now leads the next generation of cognitive neurologists and researchers.
What we see here are the manifestations of hypertension and diabetes in the brain.
Brain donation is key to their research and is used to educate the public.
This museum is literally, I think, a temple of learning.
NIMHANS Brain Museum is where visitors have an immersive experience that includes holding a real brain.
So this is how the entire brain, spinal cord, and the nerves are engineered.
Neuropathologist Dr. Anita Mahadevan.
These are the nerves that are coming out of the spinal cord, and literally this is what connects you to the world.
We are the diabetes capital of the world. Hypertension is so common, and unfortunately, these disorders are not treated yet.
This Karnataka Brain Health Initiative.
For decades, scientists have known that these conditions raise the risk of dementia.
Alan is visiting NIMHANS for the first time.
Hi, good to see you.
What looks like a simple first meeting is something much bigger. In the lobby of NIMHANS, Dr. Alati welcomes Dr. Alan Levy of Emory's Goizueta Brain Health Institute, along with Dr. Narayan.
Okay.
15 years into the CARS study, this moment marks a turning point, bringing brain science directly into a project long focused on cardiometabolic disease.
Are you doing a biorepository?
NIMHANS will play a central role. Dr. Alati's team will work alongside Dr. Levy and his colleagues, analyzing thousands of brain MRIs and blood samples collected across India for signs of Alzheimer's disease.
And recently, one patient finished 12 months of the plasma exchange.
For decades, diabetes, heart disease, and dementia were treated as separate conditions, handled by different specialists and different clinics.
But basically, it is linking
The collaboration of these researchers is recognition that these diseases are connected and that solving them requires doctors and scientists to come together across disciplines, continents, and ways of thinking.
I'm Nitin.
I'm Aparna Venugopal.
I'm Pratima AR.
You just cannot work in a silo. And I mean, that is a must.
We have people from so many different disciplines coming together.
There is only one way of research today, and that is through collaboration.
They're just, know each other well now, that are working together, reviewing things together in a way that I have rarely seen.
What Alan's group brings is a very strong rigor in Alzheimer's disease research.
An hour's flight east brings us to Chennai, a major city on the Bay of Bengal, often called the healthcare capital of India. Home to more than 10 million people, Chennai is where nearly half of the CARS study participants live, giving researchers a window into how modern life is shaping health in southern India.
Every organization just rated us, we are consistently number one. So we kept this alone as a for-profit thing.
It is here that Doctors Levy and Narayan meet with India's foremost diabetes expert, Dr. V. Mohan.
Hello, friends.
Over the past 4 decades, Dr. Mohan has built one of the largest diabetes networks in the world,
Cancer patients, HIV patients,
overseeing 50 specialty clinics across India, treating over 700,000 people for diabetes.
all over India, from Sri Lanka, Bangladesh.
With over 1,000 scientific publications, Dr. Mohan is also a lead investigator of the CARS study, alongside members of his research team. In his clinic, patients undergo comprehensive assessments that now include cognitive testing, reflecting a growing understanding that diabetes affects more than just the body.
We've always known that people from South Asia are at increased risk of developing type 2 diabetes.
Dr. Mohan also leads the Madras Diabetes Research Foundation.
We will be doing it in the laboratory.
Deeply involved in some of the most important diabetes and cardiometabolic research in South Asia. As part of the CARS cohort, scientists collect blood and other samples that are processed and stored in a world-class biobank. These samples allow researchers to study how diabetes begins, progresses, and differs across populations, turning large-scale public data into new scientific insights.
These results can be applied globally. 80% of the world lives in low and middle income countries.
And then the third, fourth. My main role is the genomic studies, understanding, trying to see whether there are novel genes, discovery of genes, novel genes, and then trying to understand the genetics behind the whole problem. We are supposed to have
Dr. Radha Venkatesan has been the head of molecular genetics at Madras for 26 years.
They come in, they do everything.
Now, her genomic studies will include the brain.
It's absolutely an exciting time.
So these really bothered many of the participants.
At the center of the effort is Deepa Mohan, who oversees field operations and data collection for the CARS study. Until recently, Alzheimer's screenings were not a routine part of care in India, where medical attention has long centered on diabetes and high blood pressure. With precision CARS underway, that approach is shifting, connecting years of cardiometabolic data with new efforts to understand dementia risk. An essential part of the study takes place inside participants' homes.
The investigations include the detailed data collection on their medical history, all kinds of information that's related to the cardiometabolic diseases.
Mr. and Mrs. Gopalakrishnan take turns answering questions, offering tea,
but we don't have time.
Sharing that their son lives in the United States, in Atlanta. When researchers return for follow-up visits, blood samples will be collected. Now, as part of CARS Brain, those samples will also be tested for biomarkers associated with Alzheimer's disease. In every home we visit, there is a deep sense of gratitude for the researchers and for relationships built over time. Participants have undergone extensive testing, completed detailed questionnaires, and given their time year after year.
I would say we don't see them as a study participants, like they are more into like a family members.
From the beginning, the CARS study achieved exceptionally high participation, with nearly 90% of eligible adults agreeing to take part. Remarkably, more than 15 years later, retention remains close to that level, a testament to the trust between the researchers and the communities they serve. From Chennai, we travel north to our final destination, Delhi. Home to more than 25 million people in one of the largest cities in the world, it is a city shaped by government and history, vibrant street life and economic growth, but also one facing some of the most severe air pollution in the world. This isn't fog or haze. It's microscopic particles suspended in the air people breathe every day.
In Atlanta, the air pollution might be 20, 30, it's a measure of particles per million. Here today, I think it's probably over 500 to 700. So on a daily basis here, people are breathing, well over 10 times the amount that we're breathing in Atlanta on a bad day. And we already know with low levels, there are problems with Alzheimer's disease being more common in the brain. Even in Atlanta, that the amount of air pollution in different neighborhoods is associated with more Alzheimer's pathology in the brain. There's gray and white matter, right? And so you can see the different color.
Alan Levy is a globally respected cognitive neurologist and neuroscientist who leads Emory University Brain Health Institute, directing cutting-edge research.
Every day in every conversation, I see opportunities to accelerate their own research, what we've been doing back at Emory. I just think there's some real unique opportunities here.
On this journey in India, Levy is exploring what dementia may share with these other chronic diseases long before symptoms appear.
The things that contribute to brain disease, whether it's Alzheimer's or stroke, are very similar to those things that are driving heart disease, and very likely those things driving diabetes as well. So, getting out of our little cocoons, having the ability to interact with people that have been studying in other areas, but with a different perspective. I mean, it just makes it so much richer. It may be that diabetes is not so much, or heart disease, that individually they're not the risk for Alzheimer's disease. It's very possible that those processes that are driving diabetes are the same ones that are driving Alzheimer's disease.
Thousands of participants are now undergoing cognitive testing and brain scans, expanding CARS into one of the most comprehensive studies of brain health of its kind.
We are doing brain imaging on 4,000 people. This would be the largest number of brain imaging in any cohort in the world.
Investigators are integrating 15 years of cardiometabolic data with new cognitive tests, brain imaging, and blood-based biomarkers for Alzheimer's disease, creating a rare lifespan view of dementia risk. AIMS, the All India Institute of Medical Sciences, is India's flagship medical institution, a major center for patient care, medical training, and research. There is never a slow day here. Nikhil Tandon is the head of endocrinology at AIMS.
Since our annual outpatient footfall is 1 Denmark a year, it's just under 5 million patients in a year.
You see 5 million?
5 million patients.
In 1 year?
In 1 year.
Mixed in with people who travel from across the country to be treated here are CARS participants. Participants receive retinal imaging scans.
Right now I'm using the Topcon.
Optometrist Aripa Shai.
And I'm also checking the pressure of the eye.
They undergo cardiac scans, vision tests, EKGs, and paper and pencil cognitive testing.
हर ऑप्शन के नीचे 5 वाक्य होंगे.
Ishtar Singh Goyal is a longtime study participant and former member of parliament with a history of hypertension and diabetes.
They will help our peoples for the health, for the heart, for the kidney, for the liver.
And for the brain.
Yeah.
And for the brain.
What sets CARS apart is not just what researchers measure, but where they measure it. Year after year, they return to participants' homes.
Survey people came from CCDC in 2014.
73-year-old Ramesh Ramnani lives with his 71-year-old wife, Hardevi.
In the comfort of my home, they conducted all kind of tests.
As researchers visit their home, Hardevi prepares fragrant tea for everyone.
You work so hard.
Thank you very much. So she is boiling.
A ritual reflecting the warmth and care at the center of their home.
What are your favorite plants?
As for Ramesh, he has mobility issues, but is otherwise in good health.
Overall health is good, very good.
In another Delhi neighborhood, 65-year-old Guldeep Kaur is also part of the study. She lives with diabetes and thyroid issues, and when she joined the research in 2014, she welcomed the thorough testing as a way to better understand her health.
So she was very happy to know that all the tests will be performed in her home.
By visiting participants in their homes year after year, researchers don't just collect data, they see how people live. They observe family structures, daily routines, support systems, and the environments people age in, offering insight into how social and lived experiences may shape long-term health and well-being.
I'm the Executive Director of Center for Chronic Disease Control.
Cardiologist Doreraj Prabhakaran heads the CCDC, the coordinating hub for the CARS study.
I applied for the grant and
Prabhakaran is an epidemiologist and public health researcher.
80% of the deaths, cardiovascular disease deaths in US, UK or Europe is after the age of 70 years. By contrast, in India, nearly 52% of deaths occur before the age of 70 years.
Prabhakaran says only 20% of people in urban India and just 10% in rural India have their blood pressure under control, putting millions at higher risk for heart disease and heart attacks. CCDC plays a central role in CARS, coordinating study operations, processing data, and supporting laboratory work for samples collected in the field. Biochemist Ruby Gupta is the head of the lab at CCDC.
The phlebotomists go to the field, to the community and collect the samples. Samples means we collect blood and urine from the participants and they bring it to here in the lab.
Each year, more than 6,000 samples are processed through these labs. With the brain portion of the CARS study now underway, selected samples are forwarded to Dr. Alati and her team at NIMHANS.
We are collecting the samples, we'll be sending the samples to NIMHANS and the analysis will happen there. The biomarker related to brain will happen there.
From community clinics and diabetes foundations to major institutions like AIMS and the Centers for Chronic Disease Control, this is a broad, coordinated effort to understand what drives chronic disease and how it may impact the brain long before symptoms appear. It's a shift from treating disease late to understanding how it begins.
We should stop thinking of dementia and diabetes and other diseases as separate, because they are connected.
Research increasingly shows many risk factors that drive not just dementia, but diabetes, high blood pressure, and high cholesterol are modifiable. The hope? That people have the ability to improve their health and reduce their risk through physical activity, healthy food, managing blood pressure, cholesterol, and blood sugar, reducing pollution exposure, staying socially and mentally engaged. The lessons emerging from this study won't remain in India. They apply to populations everywhere, including here in the United States. By following people over time, this research offers something powerful: the chance to intervene earlier, to slow disease before it takes hold, and to rethink how we protect the brain across the lifespan.
Scientists are like adventurers. They go out to discover. This collaboration between the United States and India is becoming richer by the day.
Lack of sleep is supposed to be a risk factor.
All the key players in the CARS study in one room in Delhi for a few days, comparing findings and mapping what comes next in this 15-year journey. It is a lifetime commitment to science, work that will save lives. And here in India, where music, dance, and community are woven into daily life, progress is something shared. Celebration is not separate from work. It is part of a culture that values connection, collaboration, and the power of the collective effort. By understanding how disease begins, we may finally learn how to prevent chronic disease and dementia, not just for one country, but for the world. Standing at the Taj Mahal, a monument to what human beings can achieve, we're reminded by the CARS study that new discoveries can change lives around the world. And that's going to do it for us this week. I'm Jay Watson in India. See you next time on Your Fantastic Mind.
Your Fantastic Mind, brought to you in part by Sarah and Jim Kennedy.